There we go. All right, we should be recording. The lunch party hasn't quite started yet. We've got 6 minutes. He's here. Dee.
Hello! Yay! Look! Party balloons! You guys are so awesome.
You're awesome. Look at that. Look what Belinda did. You see the
Awesome.
congratulations authors graphic?
She is something else.
Isn't that cool?
Yes, it is. Most definitely. Am I the first one joining?
I'll turn this down. The music too loud?
It's good.
Good. Jamie Brown. Yeah. So, oh, she left.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know if there's gonna be 10 people or 100 people.
We'll see. I just posted on my Facebook page again, so.
Oh, cool. We even have our little
I love it.
Nelly.
I mean, we should have planned that. We should have gotten brought some
That's what you
champagne
should
glasses and everybody had their oh,
Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah. Next time.
It's
We'll
all
do a
good.
third lunch party.
It's so good. We got balloons. We got Michael Jackson. And we got confetti. So
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I like the confetti. That's awesome. That's either Belinda. It's probably Belinda. Maybe Jamie.
so I didn't get through the whole book today. I mean, in the past couple of days, I've just been
I love that you have
doing a lot.
Volume A on your shelf there.
You see that? Yeah. Well, when I'm doing groups and I'm doing consultation, they usually look at the background. So
Yeah.
a little subliminal message
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
that I support. It helps. It helps.
You gonna move?
No.
You hiding?
Yes.
She's hiding.
I'm hearing that.
I see you. Is your mom joining us today?
She might not be. My stepdad's not feeling well.
Oh,
He called me and apologized. I'm like,
too bad.
you're afraid.
Yeah.
Right. 2 minutes.
Maybe the three of
Maybe
us.
the three of us. Now, people are jumping in. The last time, what did we have last time? 7 of us or so?
I don't remember, to be honest. I know that when I initially tried to log on, it asked for a password, and I had to go back and look. In fact, I guess I should.
Hey, Jamie.
Hey, Jamie.
It required a password?
Yeah, the first time around, so I'm not sure what that was about.
I just found the same thing. Yeah, it's on. I'm on my phone. I was trying to get on my laptop using the room key, and it asked for a password.
Yeah.
Oh man, what do I do? Can I remove that? You guys know Zoom?
Yeah, you should be able to remove it. Yeah, I thought there was no password.
Yeah, I didn't either. That link goes right through for me, but maybe it's got me logged in.
The link does, but the room ID, because not everyone can use a link. Like I'm stuck on my phone now because it wouldn't load on my laptop. So I was trying to go in through just using the code.
Hmm.
Let's see.
Any advice on how I?
So this, I mean, it's really hard to, I can't see your screen, so I don't know what you're looking at, but
Oh, here.
you're in zoom.us.
Yeah, here, I'll share.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to see it because I'm on a phone.
Right.
Let me see. See, it won't even let me turn the phone around. Oh, I can zoom in. Let me see.
That's not what
If you're on the phone, swipe to the left, and it should give
Well,
you.
I'm at, in the menu, Zoom preferences. Video share screen background. Shoot.
Yeah, so it should be in like security and passwords or preferences, or let me see.
Enable waiting room. Allow participants to chat. Rename, unmute, start video, and remove.
So you don't want a
suspend.
waiting room.
Take the waiting room out.
Mm-hmm.
There's more people. Okay. I've disabled waiting room.
And then did you see anything that's password? I'm going to try and get in now on my laptop this way and see if that's changed.
I'm freaking out. We're trying to get rid of the password.
Hey, yeah. Nope.
Disable, hide video, hide footage, share. The meeting, no.
Seven, zero.
All right.
Okay, let's see what this does now. Nah, it's still asking for a passcode. I want to confirm that we got the right ID then too, because I pulled it from a post that you did, but potentially that could be part of the issue.
Yeah.
Have you got?
I'm gonna say that that's probably part of the issue, because when I tried to join, when I copied and paste on my page the link, that's where I ended up getting the
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly do a post now and try to see if we can get people. This is. Okay, let's.
All right. Let's see. Here we go. Edit. Maybe I can edit the meeting. Glasses.
there's a passcode down there. See where it says passcode, security passcode?
Yes. Only users who have the invite link. Enter passcode.
Thank you.
Setting is locked and cannot be changed. All your meetings will use this setting. Okay. Is there a way to disable passcode for all my meetings?
I mean, there typically is, but I don't know, because you thought that there wasn't one to begin with, so I'm not sure if maybe you don't have that option. Zoom can be
Put
sometimes like that.
just put waiting room on. As soon as you've enabled waiting room, it's a security feature. You either need a passcode or you need a waiting room. So if you go down, hi, good morning, everybody.
Yeah.
Woo, woo.
I know. It looks good.
Hey, Belinda.
Hey,
That's
hey.
awesome. Oh, here. Require that all meetings are secured with one security option.
There we go. So you have to have one. Generally,
Cannot
we keep
change
me.
this.
We just disabled that just before B. It was a waiting room, and then we took it off hoping that would rectify the situation, but it didn't.
Require
It should do though,
passcode
because
with
it's
voting
on.
schedule. There we go.
I don't know. I'm
Schedule users can
confused.
join via client room.
I can't even see anyone now. I've swiped you off my screen somehow. I don't know how to get you back.
I'm trying to disable the
Oh, here we go.
passcode. setting is unlocked. This setting is locked and it will be disabled for all group and user settings. Disable meeting passcode. Come on.
I didn't need one
Okay.
to get in.
Personal meeting passcode. You didn't?
No, I came straight into the meeting room. I actually didn't need one. So I was
That's
in
good.
very early. That was in about 10 minutes ago. But yeah, it didn't ask me for a passcode.
Did you use the link or
For
the
passcode by
ID?
phone? Nope.
So I used the link only that Rodney posted in the group. It was the one that
All
I
right.
sent to you, Jamie.
Yeah, that's the issue. So, oh, I think it's worked now though, Rodney. I think I'm about to get in without a passcode using the numbers. Yeah, I'm in. Woo!
Can you hear me?
Jamie, can you test that again?
Do you want me to leave and go back in again?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Jamie.
She's been a lot of help, Belinda.
She loves tech. I'm sure you can hear that in her voice when she gets tech issues. She's like, oh, great, another tech issue. Yay. Christina, Dee Dee, hi.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, so happy to meet you. Rodney, is this your gorgeous wife that I see?
Gorgeous wife, yes.
Oh my
My
gosh.
inspiring woman.
I finally get to meet you in person. That's not really in person.
Lauren.
But it kind of is.
This is forgetting right now.
Okay, well, that means there's no waiting room. That's good.
And Lauren's in as well.
Yeah, it worked now. No password needed.
Oh, thank God.
Woohoo!
Okay, how do
You got there.
I? Man, I didn't know how little I knew about. Oh, I'm sharing. There we go. Hey,
Ta-da.
Woo.
wow, it's cool to see you guys. So good. I hope I didn't lose too many. Hey, hi, Kathy.
Kathy.
It always takes a moment.
Hi, baby.
Hey, very cool. I get to introduce my wife to everybody. This is Belinda Jane Dolan
Hi, Belinda.
and Dee Dee
Hey.
Rodriguez
No, I know.
and Christina
I know
Savka.
Christina.
You know Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
Jamie, my new friend,
Hi, Jamie.
technically and politically. And Kathy Gonzalez, nice to meet you.
Hi, Kathy.
Nice to meet you.
So
Nice
this
to
is
meet
one of
you.
my guests. Thank you, Kathy, for joining us.
You're welcome, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, look, it's 8:08. I'm sure some people join in as we go. But even if they don't, I think this is an opportunity to talk about the book and get this on recording. Yes. And this can turn into footage that we use, that we all use to promote with. So, well, you got me in a party mood, man.
It's 1 o'clock. What else would you do at 1 o'clock? Like,
you know.
where's the music? We need to be partying. Come on.
Yeah, here we go. Let's do this for a minute.
It's like it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Anything better? Look, we've got the streamers. We've got it all happening here. You only live once.
I'm trying to do a post right now and tagging people, just so you know. That's why I'm like not paying attention.
So good. So Christina, and I-
Streamers are not quite as good on Zoom. I've noticed we need to do a better. We need like a Zoom version of streamers because they don't really have the same effect, do they, as when they throw them at someone.
that's very cool. Yeah, we ran out to the dollar store. I was like, I can't start this
Love
without
it.
some decoration. It will kill me. It's like, at least something. So, yeah,
I love it.
A little
Absolutely
shy.
love it.
here it is. Yay! So I'm really happy with how it came out. And everyone involved gets a color copy. I just had the interior color hardcover produced. There's a copy on the way to me, so I just want to make sure it's all cool. Then I'm going to start sending it to all the authors. And this came out pretty well for black and white, and it's very reasonable to share, and I was really happy with how it came out. We're starting to get good feedback too from people who are reading it. You know, a couple chapters in, we're all kind of wowed because they're powerful stories, as you know.
I actually,
Can you hear me all right?
I think the music is kind of like cutting in and out on my
Oh.
side anyways. I'm not
Yes.
sure about everybody else.
Yeah, mine
But
too.
I've got my copy, Rodney.
Yay!
You probably can't see it, but I definitely have a bunch of pages already flagged. and
Oh, wow, look at that.
Oh,
On there.
cool.
I
Very
was super
cool.
excited to get started reading, and whew, there's some stories that had me choked up, you know.
Yeah, that had me
Yeah.
choked up. It was quite a project, man. All of your stories touched me in profound ways. I'm grateful to everyone involved because it was, I mean, it takes courage to share what you shared, and everybody's going to benefit from it. My vision was that people would have the book and maybe find a story or two that really connected with them now, and then you know, a year, 2 years down the road, if they're under any circumstances, or they may find they need some more inspiration, or they're dealing with something, and it'll kind of be one of those things where it may fall off the shelf and break open to a page, and find another story that's applicable. So I think it's got a lot of, I think it's evergreen, you know? So good. Well, welcome everybody. We'll roll. We're recording. This is material for us to use to promote. We'll share this video. And in 2 weeks, I'm starting an individual podcast. I haven't said anything to anybody else yet, but Betsy Jordan really wanted to be here. She really wanted to promote it to her tribe. And she's actually part of the reason I scheduled a second launch party. And then she found out she couldn't make this one because she's producing a film. So I said, well, why don't we put it down the road a couple of weeks, and we'll start with the individual interviews, a little more involved one-on-one podcasts, 30, 45 an hour, whatever. And I was going to invite everybody to do that and start setting that up. And what we'll end up with 17, 20, 25 podcast episodes to help support the book that way, as well as your stories and your causes and your careers. It's supposed to support all of that. All right, well, listen, I'm going to turn it over in a moment to Christina, who's much more beautiful than I am, and wanted to start with a toast. I didn't get any champagne, but if you have a drink, feel free to grab it, even if it's water or a beer or a shot of whiskey, whatever. Java, Lauren. Oh, it is a screw top. You got your Wonder Woman cup, Belinda.
Absolutely.
Baby.
My 1:30 tipple. It's 2 o'clock.
Being up at
now.
1:30 in the morning. It's lovely to see you, Belinda.
That's right.
Hey, Laura, lovely to see you.
Hi.
This is my friend Neka.
Hi.
Hi, Nico. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Neka.
We're just
Hi.
Welcome to the party.
Thanks. Congratulations on the book.
Oh, you're
God
too
bless you,
kind.
man. I'm so grateful to have this published, and the support and the energy has been amazing. So,
Hold your
I think
ears. I've
Colin-
got party poppers, everybody. Hold your ears.
ready? So, to inspiring women.
Can I,
Sure.
I'll toast to this.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers. Congratulations, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Well, look, we've got potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, or maybe 5 interviews here. So good. Well, the basic format we thought of was, I think, correct me, Christine, if I'm wrong, but we'll do a little, maybe even read a little excerpt, do a little author interview, get some reader feedback, more people join in, and give a book away. So we can give books away to anybody you like. Actually, it was really cool. Jennifer, who you may know, Dee Dee from high school, my high school, won a book in one of the little raffle giveaways, and she really gave me some great feedback. And I said, well, you know, if there's someone who could really use this, just let me know, and I'm happy to send them a copy. So, all right, with that, I'll turn things over to a more professional host, but anything worth doing is worth doing badly. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing it badly. I'll turn it over to Christina. Thank you, Christina.
You are doing a splendid job. I'm just in awe of who you are and what you've created. So welcome everybody to this official second launch of the Inspiring Women Today. This is an incredible journey for myself as an author and for all of you. So congratulations to everybody that shared their story. I can tell you the journey has been most interesting and very long awaited. So I know I've worked long and hard with Rodney, and sometimes there's been months and months of silence and waiting and anticipating, when will this be birthed? But he did not let us down, and we roughed it through COVID and we made it to the other side. So what an honor and a privilege to be part of this book. Thank you so much to Rodney. He is an incredible person. When I first met Rodney, I thought, have I known this person before? We clicked like crazy. And sharing was absolutely amazing with this man, who obviously is a seasoned writer, author, publisher. He's done it all. He's had this love and inspiration for a very long time, which is evident in what we see today in this book. So I am so stoked to be in your vortex and to be a part of this mission. Thank you, Rodney, for what you have achieved for all of us. And on behalf of all the authors, we want to say congratulations and thank you.
Yay, thank you.
We would love to hear a little bit more about the background and the reasons why you chose to actually do this project. Why us? Why women? And what's in it for you? What's the future and what's the bigger goal? So over to you.
Sure. Remember in the movie Jerry Maguire, there's a scene where, I forget the actor's name, but he's brilliant. And he says to he explains to Tom Cruise that he was raised by a single mom and the implications of that and so on. Well, I was raised by a single mom. She worked 2 jobs. So we went to private school. She would work 2 jobs, come home and cook a meal. We had home cooked meals. She did, especially when you look back, she did a really remarkable job, I thought. And it was clearly a big priority for her. And that kind of shaped me. You know, I saw my dad as much as I could, but that was a big influence early on. And I guess going through life, this is my wife, Dawn. You can see she's gorgeous. I'm trying not to get too choked up, but we've been together 31 years. Yeah. And we met when I was 19. I kind of knew my whole life I would meet her, and here we are. So on top of that, we have 1 child. She's a beautiful 22-year-old young woman. I'm just proud as shit of her. And I seem to be surrounded by women. I had a client years and years ago when I was a real estate broker, and in talking, I found out he had been married to one of my bosses, and he had been married to one of Dawn's bosses, and both of them were very powerful women who had their own businesses. They were very forthright, very independent, and it was very funny. He said to me at one point, I said, well, that's remarkable. You know, you're obviously attracted to powerful women. And he said, yeah, I think I'm done with powerful women for a little while. Okay. So just seem to, evidenced by those here, gravitate towards kind of remarkable women. As far as the writing and the projects go, obviously there are books like Chicken Soup for the Soul and books like that are compilation books. I got to work on one. Actually, it's an interesting short story. I worked for a company that Lauren's familiar with, and it's how we met, actually. We had a particular client who I thought wasn't treated very well by management, and I felt limited in dealing with her because I was an employee of the company. I was a writer and I ran the writing department. And a year went by after I left and went out on my own, and it still bothered me. So I looked her up. I said, hey, this is Rodney. You might remember me from that project. You may or may not remember me. You might hate me, but regardless, I want you to know I don't think you were treated fairly. And, I valued what you were putting into your book. And if there's anything I can do to square that around, it would make me feel better. And she was floored. She called me up and we ended up chatting. And she says, matter of fact, there's a project. I wasn't looking to get business out of it, but she invited me into a project. She was working on a compilation project. And that turned into a book called The Choice. And I think there are 12 stories in there, but it's more entrepreneurial. It's more about overcoming challenges. And I liked the format. I enjoyed the project. I also learned what to do and what not to do in many ways. And I'm proud of that book. And I guess on top of that, the zeitgeist that the Me Too movement and some of these things, I'm not a woman, but I felt strongly about them. So, and the last little nugget on that, I somewhere along the line came up with the idea of inspiring women. So the first thing you do is you go and buy the URL, and it wasn't available, or it was for $5,000 or something. And when it GoDaddy, it says that's not available, but these are. And inspiring, and I always want .coms. I don't want .tv or anything unless it's specialized. And Inspiring Women Today was available, and I thought that's even better because it's not about historical women; it's modern women, and it all kind of fell into place. And it's now a launched franchise that I plan to launch a new edition every year on International Women's Day on March 8th down the road. And by doing that, the franchise will inevitably grow, the readership will grow, and people who buy volume 5 will, if they like it, will then find out there's a volume 1 through 4. So your stories, your sharing will be good for many years to come. And that's the project. Actually, a lot of you helped. I think, for example, Lauren introduced me to Belinda. Belinda introduced me to Stella, and so on. And Dee Dee and I went to high school together. Denise Duncan, for example, I knew from another job. And it's been a very cool journey. So thanks for everybody for being here and being a part of this.
I love how you are surrounded by women that help raise you. And there is a stigma out there, actually, when men have the absence of the father figure at home, that things can go awry and in a bad way. But you are a testament that being raised by women actually has been an incredible journey. And now you're able to do things for us and have that amazing balance of male-female energy. So whenever I get asked, how come a guy is leading this project? I say, well, you would be surprised who raised this guy and how this actually came about. So it's an amazing testimony that even with the absence of a particular same-sex figure, that there is no loss. There is always a gain in different ways. And you are a testimony of this. And so we have all, as authors, gained so much by being part of this project and having you lead this. So thank you.
Thank you so much. The only thing I'll add is I realized this along the line, the title, Inspiring Women. It's about inspiring women. it's not just inspiring women. So, you know, a man, a child, anyone can find inspiration in your stories for sure. So thanks so much.
Absolutely. Over to you, Rodney. So we're going to the reading. So tell me a little bit more about this reading. What would you like? How would you like to orchestrate that?
Well, we could read an excerpt, or I realized just now, I thought we'd get reader feedback, anything anybody particularly liked or that struck them. I'm starting to get those comments are starting to come in more and more. I have the sense of it maybe snowballing, which is very cool. As people get through the book, I get a lot of wow, you know, in ways. So does anybody, now, by the way, how does Zoom work? I guess you could raise your hand, or is there a, like if you want to make a comment or ask a question. Does anybody have any particular story that stands out for them or touch them? Otherwise, I'll start. Yep, Dee Dee.
So I think for me, it was like right from the get-go, Rodney. And I have to tell you that the way that you set up the book was had me choked up right from the beginning. I think one of the things that really stood out to me was I don't remember off the top of my head if it was your mom asking her mother about how to repay. But it was let me see, where was it at? I should have underlined it, but I didn't want to mar my book.
Shoot. I'm sorry, Dee Dee, I muted you by accident. There we go. Sorry about that. Please go on.
I think from the very beginning on page 2, what struck me was where your mother asked her grandma, you did so much for us. How do we repay you? And her response was, you repay me by taking care of your children, she said. And so what really amazes me about how strong women raise strong children, their grit, their tenacity, their selflessness, working hard, loving, you know, characteristics. It really is what drives this world. You know, it really is what brings, like I once heard a statement that resilience is just hope extended. And that is like the epitome of hope extended, right? So that was like the first piece that got me choked up. And then I was intentionally very slow in reading the stories so that I wouldn't miss any pieces.
Awesome. Thank you for that. That's very cool. And you'll all experience that as people read your stories and reach out to you. And I think readers like to do that. They like to reach out to the author when you touch them in some way and let you know. I forgot, you asked me earlier, that's my great grandmother. And she actually had 6 children, and all the boys were off in the war. And she and my grandmother ran the farm while the boys were off at war. So it shows you what's possible. They can run a farm in Nebraska. Very, very cool. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Cool. Well, let's give a book away. Let me see. Anybody here? Now, if you're an author, you're going to get a full color copy as it is. I think Jamie needs a copy, right? I'm just going to start making a list.
Rodney, I just wanted to say something very interesting. I was quite touched by the recent Amazon review that a woman actually said that every story, she saw elements of that in herself. She could relate to every story. And I thought, if you can do that with 16 chapters, that is remarkable, because there are different types of stories and different journeys. But to have one reader connect with all of the stories, that was phenomenal. And I was so inspired. I had to share that with my community to say, you know, check this out. This is quite remarkable. I mean, you can always listen to people's stories and go, okay, I feel her, I can imagine, but there doesn't always have to be a connection. But this reader said she connected with each story, and I thought that was remarkable. So well done.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Was that Jennifer's review? I think Jennifer and I were actually on a call. She reached out to me because of something in the book, like you were saying. It was really, I'm not sure if that was Jennifer who left the review, but I know that the day that we spoke was the same day that I received my book. And so I told her that my book was in, and she ran outside to go check and see if her book was in, and her book came in. So it was one of those aha, beautiful synchronicity moments. And I will say, Christina, that I feel very much the same. I have not gotten through all of the stories, but I am pretty much halfway through. I think this is your story, actually. Go look. Anyways, I'm pretty much halfway through, and I find that there is a profoundness in each of the stories that are shared. There's a humility also in the sharing of the vulnerability that each person is talking about their struggles. And even in that, the other thing that really resonated was the rise up, the reinvention, right? The revisioning or the renewing of who they were in the middle of hard and unimaginable. Because I mean, I hear people tell me that all the time about my story. I can't imagine what you've gone through. But when you read these stories, they're so compelling that it almost becomes a cliche, or it almost, it's you go back to saying that's almost unimaginable. Like, what would I do if I was in that situation, right? And to see somebody's courage and boldness to step up, you know, I see anger in every single one of these, even though it's not outright anger, right? But I see anger as a jet fuel to like get everybody catapulted and going into a direction, whether that's like Erin Mahoney's. I remember when you were working on Erin's book, that was several years ago, right?
Yeah, the Girl Power.
The Girl Power book. I remember reading that book. I remember sharing that book in the mental health community with other therapists who were working with children, and other therapists who had dual licensing in counseling and stuff. And so to really get like the story behind the story, the behind the scenes, it's incredibly empowering.
Great point. Great point. Forgive me. There we go. I've used Zoom for, I think, a decade. This is one of my first group conferences like this. So that's my disclaimer. Yeah, it was with so many, really everyone. I think of Lauren as a good example. Lauren and I worked together for a decade. And you realize, when we sat down and did this interview, I realized I felt like I knew a lot about Lauren, but I didn't.
I know, I didn't.
You know, so that was enlightening, and I love all the chapters. But let me see. Can I turn it over to you, Lauren, for some thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It makes me feel old when you say that we've known each other for a decade.
Well,
but
it's high school.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, since well before we were even walking. So yeah, I actually remember those days quite fondly, because I look back. It's funny, isn't it? I think with books like this, there's a real trap that you can look back on history and sort of, cringe at what you used to be like, and wish that you could fast forward yourself and go, oh, if only I knew back then what I know now. The thing I really love about this book, and the comments already made, absolutely, I love it. I love everything that's being said, but I think the stories are so different. They've got so many things that are so similar, but each person's story, as you said, Rodney, is so different, and you really don't know a person until you take time and they open up to you about their life and the purpose and the meaning behind what they do. But what I love that comes across from everybody is no matter what their story is about, whether that's personal challenge or something that's happened in their life, or I know Belinda's story really well, of course, having worked with Belinda before, but there's always something new to discover, not only about the person you're reading about, but about yourself when you read through somebody else's story. And their coping mechanisms and their ability to overcome things and their attitudes and their values and just their approach, everything that you share from these stories that you've put together so well, Rodney, is like a little guiding light for you to follow for your own life, which is just beautiful. And it follows all the way. I don't know, was there a particular reason why you put the order of the authors in the way that you have, Rodney? Because for whatever reason, it seems to flow beautifully. And you seem to, it's almost like eating an onion. You keep taking off these different layers as you go through the book, which is really nice.
There was actually not, I think it's perfect in its imperfection in a way. There was some thought that went into the sequence, and part of that was looking for variety. So I didn't want to group 2 together or 3 together that were too similar, for example. It really wasn't a problem. And this is going to segue nicely. I'm going to hand it over to Belinda here in a second, because I put Belinda last in the book because, first of all, it's an incredible personal story, but she had recommended so many people for the book. It added a lot of diversity to the book in terms of location and story, but I don't know how Belinda does it in a 24-hour day. The places she's been and the causes that she's supported. So just as an example to answer your question, that I mean, I think every single story in this book is worthy of their own book and a life changer. And I'm extremely proud that there's such a different, I feel prepared for so many different scenarios now, more prepared anyway, given what's covered in there, from leadership to surviving cancer, sexual abuse, success in business, and from all over the world. So with that, so there was a sort of a sequence that I had in mind, but that's about it. I kind of knew from having done a project or 2 like this previously, that if I fretted over it too much, it would be unproductive, and things seem to almost kind of naturally fall in line the way it's laid out. So I'm pretty happy with the sequence, especially as you read through. And it turned out to be, I think it's an 80,000 word book. So it's got some meat to it. So I understand what people are going through. With that, I'll turn it over to Belinda. Yeah, I feel like you're all my sisters. I was going to refer to you as my sister from another mister, and I think I say that with everyone involved in the book. It really is has been a cool experience. Okay, sorry. Please, Belinda, your thoughts.
Thank you, Rodney. Really, really appreciate it. And look, can I just firstly acknowledge each and every person who's on the call today, whether it's 1 o'clock in the morning, whether it's 10 o'clock back home in Australia. Hi to Jax and Lauren and Christine. I'm not sure where you're based. So I know where a few people are based. So, I just want to acknowledge and say, thank you to those people. Jamie, I know, had to hop off the call. She's in New York. Thank you for taking the time, and Rodney and your family, because this is not just a book that you wrote. It's a labor of love, and I'm sure your wife has heard the term inspiring women today 477,000 times.
Something like that.
And that was just for a Monday. That was most probably not Tuesday or Wednesday. Rodney, I might just get you to mute. There's a couple of phones that I think are just picking up the background noise as well. I did try to mute, but I'm not the host. The joys of Zoom, hey?
Yeah.
Don't you just love Zoom?
I'm learning to.
Yeah, I think we've had no other option, have we? So, I just really want to start with a gratitude and say thank you to every single person, whether you're an author, whether you're a follower, whether you're listening, not necessarily live, you might be listening to this later. Each one of you is so incredibly remarkable for what you've given to this book. This book isn't about this book launch. It's not about today. It's not about yesterday. It's about tomorrow. And, I always talk about you given two arms, hopefully, in life. One is to reach up and to lift yourself up. But most importantly, you're given the second one to reach back for someone and, help pull them up, help support them, whatever you can do. And that's so incredibly powerful to know that this book will be able to inspire not just women. This is not about women. This is about globally, how can we inspire? Our mission is to increase global happiness by 1%. Imagine if everybody on this call, their one story impacts one person. That's it. Imagine if you've impacted one person. Imagine that legacy. I'm getting goosebumps, reading Lauren's story, and I've read, a few of the stories, and as I read them, it's very, very personal. But we know with, Jack Canfield's book, Chicken Soup for the Soul, they inspired women, and I know that was one of the last books my mom read, was Jack Canfield's. So I'm hoping that she's an angel in heaven now, but I'm hoping that if she was alive and hopefully looking down on us, she would also look at the power in each of your stories, for every single author on the call as well, to Rodney, to your beautiful wife. So yeah, I just want to say a huge thank you and congratulations. I'm absolutely in awe of being on a call with you all, being in a book with you all. And I know Stella can't be here. Stella is a is a very dear friend and also a charity partner as well, and we can't wait for the borders to open to be there. So to Stella, because I know you'll be listening later.
And she just had a beautiful baby.
Yeah.
She, how did that happen? We were just chatting, never mentioned it. All of a sudden, oh, there's a baby. I'm like, oh, that was very quick. I didn't even realize that went so quickly. I didn't even know she was pregnant at one point. And could I also, not wanting to stay on for too long, but I want to read a review for everybody that's on the call that was sent to me personally. I don't know if you can see, it's actually, please excuse me on my cell phone, normally I wouldn't be, but it was Denitsa, a very dear friend of mine, Jennifer. She couldn't post this on Amazon for some reason. There was some tech issues, I don't know what it was, but she wanted me to have it. Now she doesn't know I'm reading this out, so I'm sure there's going to be a video later and she's going to be like, oh, I can't believe you read it out. But I just want to read this out because I want everybody who's committed, and even everybody who's a follower. I can see Jax has come in from Australia as well. I would love you to hear this as well, so please just excuse me for a moment while I read through this. Sure. So this is from Denitsa. Raw, authentic, unique, like the women who tell their stories. These stories teach and inspire a very genuine, down-to-earth way. I loved reading them with my daughter and getting inspired by these extraordinary women, teaching us about the passion and compassion, overcoming grief and hardship, generosity of spirit, love, grit, and perseverance, giving and making our world a better place.
All right. You guys are killing me.
Yeah, I know. I have no tissues. I'm literally using streamers right now, just letting you know. So I just wanted to share that with you. That is It's just incredibly powerful. These are not our stories. It sometimes feels incredibly self-indulgent, to say, oh, here's a book that, here's a book chapter. But I think we forget that sometimes there's moments in our time, and Dee Dee, you're one of the experts in this. There's moments in our lives sometimes where we just need to step outside what's going on, and we need to appreciate and acknowledge that, the stories that we have make us, and, these scars that we have remind us that we're alive. So I just want to say a huge thank you to Denitsa for taking the time to review that as well. So thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. When I was younger, somebody said the man with no shoes complained until he met the man with no feet. And it's relevant here, I think I feel from these stories, if I do encounter situations like these in the future, which is possible, it's life, I feel a little better prepared for them. I feel like one of the first things I think that is helpful is to find out in any situation that you're not alone, that somebody else has not only survived through what you're going through, but come make a fundamental difference, especially with things like depression and suicide. And so I'm very proud of that. I think just naturally the way the stories came through, it can help you if you're kind of in that spectrum, or if you're on the positive side and you're trying to scale your business or achieve something in a positive sense, So that's very cool. Thank you. That was a great idea to read that review. If I'd have thought of that, I'd have a few more here. And the reviews are starting to come in. Some of the personal comments are starting to come in. My mom, by the way, thank you. Someone mentioned my mom. She was on the first lunch party call, and she'll see this video, I'm sure. But I tried to pay tribute to her and my wife and my daughter and my grandmother and my great-grandmother. And she told me on the phone today, her own testimonial, that all the stories, it's got her remembering everything she's been through in her life. And it's had a kind of a holistic impact on her as well. So, well, listen, by the way, one quick note, little announcement. Anyone on this call who doesn't have a copy, now if you're an author, I already have a plan to send you color hardback. But Jack, I've got Jamie on my list. And let's see. Oh, Kathy Gonzalez. If you will maybe private message me or on Facebook or something, get me a mailing address and I'll make sure that everyone on this call ends up with a copy of the book somehow, please. So, woo-hoo. Very cool. All right.
Can I just encourage all authors to continue even private conversations with their community, because you just don't know who you can touch. There was a woman that reached out today who said, I shared a post saying it's taken me 45 years to actually, own my story and be vocal about it. And she said, I had suffered in silence for years. I even became hospitalized for a few years because of the depression. I couldn't speak up. Thank you that you spoke up. So sometimes we think it's all about us, but it's actually giving others permission to rise. And so, a lot of the time our own stories could be wrapped around a lot of shame. We don't want people to see that aspect of us. But I just want to say, what an incredible time that we live in, where we are encouraged as influencers to be so much more vulnerable, because that means that we are more approachable. And by being approachable, backed with our trade or profession, those two things, it means that we're credible and approachable. That's an incredible union to have out there, where people can come up to us and say, now I can follow, or I can come through. So I just want to encourage every author to keep the conversation going, keep this in the forefront for as long as it takes, because you just don't know. And this is what I will be doing this for the rest of my life, as long as I'm able to have a voice, present or be on camera. This will always be a part of my mission. So I just want to say, you know, keep the good work and just keep that as the other arm for whatever you're doing in your business and life, because that's a ministry in itself. And I think it should be a part of all of us forever.
Beautifully put. And you know, the one thing I really have hopes for this book, and I think of your story, Christina, sunlight will kill these problems for people in the future. You know, transparency, being brave like each of you. And I don't know, I'd be grateful for the rest of my life for what you women have shared in this book. So, Christina, you're a perfect host. Can I turn it over to you as an author? Do you have thoughts on the process or what affected you, or just give you the floor for whatever you'd like to say?
Oh, look, I as I said, when I read back to my own story, I have to go, is that me? Like, I even get inspired by my own story, because I can't believe that I've survived all what I've survived and that I'm here today. And it's only because I've been hiding so long who I've been, that now I have to reintroduce myself to the person that I was, that I've been hiding. So it's like, hello, me. Yes, you can come out and speak. So it's been a real process for me to be able to say, it's okay, and you can own all of this, and somebody else will be inspired. Because, you know, in Australia, particularly, we have a really high suicide rate between 15 and 44. And I always said that if we can stop someone from making that decision, sharing is worth it. So that's a huge thing for me. And so I thought, you know what, when I turned 50, I thought it's time to grow up. It's time to become a leader, become focused, and put your story out there. And that's what I did. So I became bold and brave and very courageous. And that's why I'm in awe of every author that has shared, you know, their story, because it takes courage. It takes courage. You know, you just don't know who's going to read it with some limiting beliefs and judge you left, right, and center. You know, how dare you go on an ego trip, or who do you think you are? But I realized that none of that matters, because if today was my last day and I was able to inspire just one, it would have been worth the share. So I just want to leave that with you.
Oh, well put.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to comment in here. Can I put somebody else on the spot? Kathy Gonzalez, I'm meeting you for the first time. Is she still there?
I'm still here.
Hey, so tell us, how do you come to be with us? Who are you, friends of Belinda, it seems?
No, I'm friends with Dee Dee. I
Oh,
go
Dee. Oh, cool. Very cool. Have you had a chance to read the book or read Dee Dee's chapter?
No, I'm really interested in reading it. I've dealt with a lot of things in my life, so I'm really anxious to read other stories of women, and sometimes I'm, you know, I'm really wanting to read these stories. We do
Awesome.
encounter the same things sometimes, but I'm just really anxious just to read it and then to share this book. I will be sharing it with some people that I know, and like one of my family members. So
Very awesome.
yeah.
Well, oh, by the way, that reminds me, I set up the Kindle ebook. It's free today and for the next, I think, 3 days. So now
I've put a link for it into the chat box, Rodney.
Oh, good idea.
If anyone wants to open the chat box, there's a wee link in there to the book on the ebook on Amazon.
Oh, you did that. Oh, yeah, there we go. Lauren, I love you. Awesome. Yes. And Kathy, I want to make sure you get a print copy as well, or
Okay.
or I'll send it to someone you want, but through Dee Dee, or, you know, private message me a shipping address, and we'll
I
make
think I already private messaged you, so on Facebook.
Perfect. Okay. How do I?
Yeah, because me and Dee Dee are in 2 different states. I'm in Texas. She's in Virginia.
Okay. Oops. There we go.
For right now, anyway.
Yes. Forgive me.
Listen, there's been a calling for me to go to San Antonio, so I'm. Who knows? Who knows?
Nice.
Jennifer, can I bother you for your thoughts?
Sure.
I was so excited, by the way. You know, Amazon now, when they deliver the books, never crossed my mind that this would happen. The delivery guys they take a picture when they drop it on a doorstep. I don't know if you've experienced that yet. It seems kind of new. And so many of you, I've seen your front door or because they'll drop it off and I'll see, and it's cool. I'm like, oh, cool. The little package is there. They're going to come home and get it. Friend of mine, his sister got her copy today and was telling their other sister that I got my copy and I'm so excited. And her name's Beth and her sister Donna said, well, damn it, I wish my copy arrived. And so she she went to the front door and her copy was sitting there. So it worked out perfectly. Denise Duncan just joined us. I'm very excited Denise Duncan just joined us, but Denise will be right with you. Thank you.
Of course.
I was just bothering Jennifer for her thoughts. So I think we'll spotlight Jennifer for a moment. There you are. And
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I joined late. No, I didn't have the luxury, unfortunately, of having my package left by my front door. I had it shoved in my mailbox.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and so I had to, unbend it a little bit. It's in perfect shape now. But I will say thank you, number one, for the book. But most importantly, I met someone. I don't want to cry.
I think we've all cried already.
Yeah, through this process that is reached out and given me quite a bit of information and on something that I need help with. And the stories are amazing. And I'm just really grateful for everything.
Awesome. Awesome. That means a lot to me and everyone here, I'm sure. That's awesome. Thank you, Jeff.
If we were in the room right now on an actual party, just know that we would all be giving you a hug right now, Jennifer. Just
Thank
know that we
you.
would, and I know it's so artificial being in the environment and it's not normal, but just know that I am literally sending you a hug right now from Sweden and Australia, as I'm sure everybody else is on the call. So, thank you for your lovely feedback, and you're not alone. Those tears have been shed by all of us as well. So thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jennifer, I didn't realize it's notable to me. First of all, any woman who is willing and brave enough to be in the book, that's something unusual. And as you know from the stories, and I'm going to try not to get choked up again. 3's my limit, we said. And but what can be so I don't know, stimulating, exciting, profound is when energy and support comes from places you don't expect. And I expected readers to, because I started getting feedback as we did some test reads and so on, and I know how I felt about it. But the energy that Jennifer has supplied to the project, the support, it's made a big impact on me, Jennifer, and I'm deeply grateful.
Well, I'm gonna call the person out. Thank you, Dee Dee.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
No problem.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to introduce. There she is.
Oh.
You look great, Denise. It's great to see you, man.
I'm working, so I'm only going to be able to be on here for a few minutes. I am so sorry I haven't been able to be more proactive, but there's never an end to a story. So, I mean, I could write a whole nother book at this point since we interviewed for the first story. So, as we all could, right? As we all could. So,
yep.
Rodney, you will always, always be my rock star. That's what I want to say. You know what? You're really something. And I'm going to start crying because I've read the whole book.
Wow.
And my story is just so meek and mild in comparison, you know?
Denise, you have no idea the number of people that have come to me. Actually, Michelle, a good friend of ours, Michelle, I gave her a copy early on, and we went out about our day, and something came back, and I saw her. The first thing, she didn't say hi. She said, "This book?" I said, "Yeah." You know, it was like some of the first feedback I was getting. She said, "This Denise?" I said, "Denise Duncan." She said, "Yeah." And all she said, she went, "Wow." And we had a one-word review. And I knew we were on to something really, really good for people. So yeah, Denise was one of the first stories that got put together for the book. It stands out for me in so many ways. Denise and I met on a company we worked for, the Kitchen Craft, which she talks about in there. And we really got to know each other initially on the company cruise to Bermuda, actually.
Oh, so much fun. Oh, the days. Can we all get on? Can we have an inspiring women's cruise? And Rodney will be our cruise director. I am all in.
Wow.
Rodney and Don will be our cruise directors. It'll
Wow.
be fabulous.
But I mentioned
When
she's
they open
brilliant.
again.
Yes, when cruises are
Yeah,
open.
right?
Awesome. Well, anyway, it's great to introduce you.
Thank you so much. So nice to meet all of you phenomenal women, and so proud to be a part of this entire project. You know, a little inside from me is that the power of being able to share the ramifications of being a troubled soul and addiction is I lost my big sister to addiction 5 years ago next month. And it's a powerful journey. It's a powerful thing. So thank you so much for letting me share my story, Rodney. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Denise.
Yeah.
And the cruise is a cool idea.
It's really good. Yeah, I agree.
Something to run with that. We'll see. Inspiring Women Cruise. Well,
Very proud of you. Very proud of you.
yes. Yes. Who have we not heard from? Jack? Can we put you in the spotlight for a moment? Thank you. How do you, you're friends with, I assume Belinda. Is that right? Oh, she's muted actually. There we go.
There we go. How's that? No, Belinda and I have been friends forever, and great energy. She did give me a copy of the book to read, but moving states and my own journey, just listening to the other reviews and comments people have said, it really does highlight hearing stories, and they're right. Sometimes you get so consumed by your own story, just surviving, just putting that one step in front of the other, you know, one foot in front of the other is all you can do. And so it's sort of, you know, like the other women said, it's, you know, how does my story fit in here? It's sort of like, oh my God, you know, either, you know, I just toughen up or you know, there is another way, or it gives you insight. So messages and stories are increasingly powerful, especially here in Australia at the moment. There seems to be a huge shake-up in government and in society, where, you know, women are being, you know, female public figures are being called out for what men have been doing for centuries, and it's really incredibly appalling. And I'm part of a wonderful female pilots group, and there was a wonderful poem there of, and it just listed all of the things we've heard. And she's, you know, like being called an empty kitchen. And at the end of it, all the comments from the other women were, it was like, yeah, I've heard that too. And it was like, oh, wow. It's taken me 25 years to hear another woman saying, yeah, I got that too. So I think women are afraid to stand up because generally in workforces, we've been minorities. And, you know, an important work by HBR had stated we can do exactly the same things as men, yet be completely differently. And all of these other stories that we do have, you know, the behind the scene, behind what the person is, are great tales for us to live by, and just like, wow, okay, this is how she handled it, or this is what support I need, or, you know, oh, that country has that facility. I think hardest thing for most people is to figure out how to get help, or even know that they need help, or sometimes surviving is just all that they can do. So no, I'm thankful for and very grateful for all women's stories, and Belinda's story. I might have heard a million times, but you know, I love having her in my life, and just this little pocket rocket full of energy. I wish she'd sell a little bottle of her energy, but yeah, it's pretty amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, I have to ask about your backdrop.
Oh, my backdrop. It was me in lava tube in Reunion Island. It's in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and it's an island of volcanoes, and it's the most commonly erupting volcano in the world, but it hasn't erupted lately, so I don't know what's going on. But that picture, it had erupted 18 months earlier from that photo, and was due to blow, you know, they said the cycle was every 2 years. So there's underneath the live, you know, where the lava flows were, and yeah, it was a great time actually. It was
Oh yeah.
Wow.
the best 50 euros I've ever spent. Expensive, but they were amazing. So yeah, no, it was a great time.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, that leads me. That's a nice segue. Another little announcement for the franchise is we've now had 2 launch parties in 2 weeks, starting with Betsy Jordan. I'm going to invite all the women involved to do a one-on-one interview, and we'll create a podcast for those interviews to help support the book. That's one thing that that podcast will be created out of those interviews. I'll share this video in the launch team group. Another announcement I made earlier: the ebook is free on Kindle today, as well as for the next 3 days. That's in the chat. There's a link for that in the chat already. Thanks to Lauren. Thank you, Lauren. Another announcement: I do intend now. This one took me. What did this take me? 6 years? 7 years. This one took quite a while, but the first is the hardest, right? So the intention is to continue with the franchise, publish a new edition each year to launch on International Women's Day. And at a certain point coming up pretty soon, once I get my arms around the podcast and some of these other things, and there's a whole other marketing effort that's being worked on behind the scenes, by the way. But pretty soon we will open up nominations for the next 16 women to be involved. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to New York Times bestselling author Chris Radish, who wrote just the perfect foreword for the book. She has written on women's issues as well as novels, and I think she's got 15 or 20 books to her name. So I was honored that she accepted that invitation and wrote the foreword. It gives a lot of it adds a lot to the book.
Rodney. I hate to interrupt. I feel bad. But my phone just buzzed. I can talk back in.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm going to have to cut it short. It's such a pleasure to meet all of you beautiful, amazing, incredible, wonderful women. And miss you, Dawn. Miss you, Rodney. And let's chat soon.
Yes.
Okay,
Thanks
guys.
so much, Denise. Thanks for jumping in. That's awesome.
Of course. Ciao, guys.
Ciao.
Well.
Awesome. All right. So is there anybody we missed or anybody want to say anything or ask any questions? All right.
Can I just acknowledge Jax? Firstly, thank you for coming on the call, Jax. Jax, I just want to acknowledge, because we often, we don't acknowledge our own stories, and neither would she, but I'm going to do it for her. And I will get a PM from her later saying, I cannot believe you did that, Belinda. But the joy is I'm so many hundreds of kilometers away from her that it doesn't matter. So I just, see, she's laughing. I will get the PM soon. So I just want to acknowledge Jax, who was and is the first Australian female pilot, first female of colour pilot within Australia. And I want to acknowledge that for a reason, because she has gone through some challenges, past, present, and yet she still shows up. She's still on the call, and she's still going through, some incredible challenges. But I think that's what these stories are important about. It's not just about now. And I want to also nominate Jax for the next Inspiring Women Today, Volume 2. And she will be doing it because we've already decided. She doesn't yet know that, and she's driving, so she actually can't really unmute. And I can see her laughing. So I'm going to nominate her anyway, so that's going to happen. And Jax, you and I will talk about it later. We remember we jump and we worry about the parachute later. So I just want to acknowledge Jax for being online, but also for her own story, for leading the way for many other young women and men around the globe to show that anything is possible if you have a big dream and you have drive and ambition. And regardless of what you're going through right now, Jax, you have been a trailblazer for so many, and people need to hear your story. So we will sign you up for Inspiring Women Today. Check out Jack Cotty. She's going to be in Volume 2.
You're so in trouble. You are just so in trouble now. You're right. I'm glad you're half the planet away, because if you were here, it's so much trouble. Love you lots. Miss you heaps.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we make Jack the first nomination for Volume 2. Does anybody second that? Yes?
Yes, I second that, absolutely. Can't wait to read your chapter, Jack. It's going to be amazing, Jack. Just incredible.
Woo!
All right, the ayes have it. Oh, you got your Wonder Woman shirt on. That's awesome.
Oh, when I jumped.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, let me see. I think I made the announcements, the Kindle, the nominations. There are other marketing, the podcast, the free book. That's pretty good. Gotta appreciate it so much. Everyone who showed up, everyone who was willing to share here today. And I'll turn it over to my the main host, really, Christina, for any closing thoughts or anything. And then if anybody else has anything they want to say, feel free to raise your hand or something. I don't know what we do in these Zoom calls, but and with that, I'll give it over to Christina.
Actually, I was going to say, for the authors that are on right now, could they please, could we ask them a couple of questions that give them an opportunity? Like Lauren, I would like to hear a little bit more expansion on the story and the aspects that she chose for her story, and why did she start it that way? Because as I was reading it, I was really intrigued. It's like, wow, I got to know Lauren on a whole new level. So yeah, let's bring Lauren on and have a little bit of a a little chat about the journey of what it took to create the aspects of her story.
Thank you, Christina. And remember, you are just down the road from me, so I can come and slap you if I need to. You're not that far away. I've got the pleasure of doing that. So Belinda can't manage it as well. No, thank you for that. It was really interesting because it was it was actually quite hard for me because, as Rodney said, we'd known each other for ages, and in reality our interview just became a chat on the phone, and we just got talking, which was lovely, to share those things. And I've got so many plans to be spending time with Rodney and his family in Florida. We've already imagined sitting on the veranda having a beer at some stage, so it's going to happen. But I think that, you know, one of the questions I always get asked, especially with the title of this book, is this is called Inspiring Women Today, but who inspires you? You know, and you can roll off some big names. You can talk about Oprah, and you can talk about, you know, some incredible people, Malala, all these incredible, Michelle Obama. You can get as much as you want to, you know, but in reality, it's the people who are closest to you that often become your biggest inspiration. And the people who don't think that they're doing extraordinary things. I know Belinda never thinks that she's this incredible Wonder Woman, even though I know she dresses that way, she does these things, but to convince Belinda how amazing she is actually quite a task. So, and we have to keep reminding ourselves that we are not just here to do what we do, but we're here to inspire others as well. And I guess, Christina, the biggest thing I thought about was how inspirational my life has been from my parents' point of view, in that they were these 10-pound poms, basically 10 pounds, 10 quid to jump on a boat and travel to the other side of the planet and set up your life without any connection to your previous life. So in those days, you know, it was expensive to make a telephone call internationally, let alone jump on a Zoom call with anybody. And they were traveling to the other side of the world, and it would be years before my mum got to see her parents again. You know, it was letters and telegrams and every now and again, maybe a phone call if they could afford it. And they started from nothing. They started afresh. They had, I think, a tea chest and an apple box made up their dining room table. And, you know, they started with nothing. So you've got to look back at, you know, where you've come from. And I don't get to spend a lot of time with them. They live in New Zealand, and I haven't seen them for years now either. But they brung me up the right way. And I think I congratulated Rodney's mum the other day on the previous call we had, that he was dragged up quite well as well with his mother. So yeah, I guess those are the people that inspire you, isn't it, Christina? Is the people that you've been around for so many years, the people who created an indelible mark on your life from such a young age, that you take that with you wherever you go. And hopefully I've made them proud. I don't know. Hopefully they're proud of where I'm at, what I'm doing. But more importantly, hopefully there's a legacy that continues on with my daughter and the people that she spends time with, that they've taken a little bit of the essence of my mum and dad's values and the motives and that entrepreneuring, you know, pioneering spirit that they had into the next life and into the next generation. So you've got to start somewhere.
It's really interesting because a lot of people see us as bold, brave, and courageous. But I want to ask you, was there a self-limiting belief that you had when you were writing your chapter? Because we all have weaknesses. Sometimes we can focus on the strengths, but for the listeners out there, you know, for those other 15 that will be qualified to be in volume 2, let's have a look at, you know, what did we have to overcome, or you in particular, Lauren, to be able to say, I need to do this. I'm going to shut down those voices and I'm going to share what I need to share in this volume. So what was that self-limiting belief?
It's a great question, Christina. I think everyone's got that, what I call the itty bitty shitty committee, you know, that little voice in your head that goes, nah, you're not good enough. And even in any minute now, someone's going to figure out you're a fraud. And it's the same question, the same sort of self-doubt that most people have, is my story is not interesting enough. You know, I haven't had the amazing fall from grace or the incredible battle with cancer or that, thank God, how lucky am I? No sexual abuse, none of that in my life. How fortunate am I? Why would anyone want to read my story? How on earth could I inspire people? I haven't had anything bad happen to me, you know? So you have that, and we get this a lot, Christina, when Annette and I at the Audacious Agency help people enter and win and leverage awards. And Belinda's been with us in New York and done amazing things with her awards and just, you know, shined on stage. The constant thing that I seem to think comes specifically from women is the I'm not good enough, I'm not special, I don't have anything special to talk about, why would anyone be interested in me, I haven't done enough yet. Those sorts of real limiting beliefs are very tangible and very real. And if anyone is considering being part of the next Inspiring Women Today book, along with Jax, who's going to have the first shot at that one. Absolutely. Yeah, just, I don't know how you're going to do it, but get over yourself. Maybe it's just a conversation with Rodney. He has an amazing way of drawing people's stories out of them. Maybe it's just a question of just have a chat with somebody else, even one of the other authors from Inspiring Women Today. Get in touch with us and ask us, you know, how did we, you know, decide what it was we were going to share and do exactly what you've just asked us today, Christina, to just get over that, you know, tell that itty bitty shitty committee just to be quiet for a bit and, you know, get on with it. Pull your big girl pants on and realize that there are parts of your life that are totally inspiring and you need to share them with the world. They absolutely need to be stories that are told.
Oh, that's amazing. I think it's absolutely incredible. And I just want to say, as a sexual trauma and survivor, as I was reading your story and the things that you've achieved, you've inspired me. So never, ever think that you need to go through any particular type of trauma, because you know, it takes certain guts to even do the things that you've done. The average person may not do those things. They may, you know, have their own self-limiting beliefs that they, you know, can't travel or can't get involved or can't do those things. So for me, your story was inspiring as well. So I just want to say that it was a great way to get to know you. And yeah, so thank you for being part of this book. Awesome. Over to you, Rodney. If you want to bring on somebody else that hasn't, that is on here. Sorry, I can't see anybody else at the moment. If you want to highlight somebody else, maybe we can ask them some more questions.
Yes, I do. And I want to, I thought I'd add, I found out when I was younger, I had a sales job and I'm not a good salesperson. And, so even back then, but I'm capable in other ways. So I was working for this company and I found somebody who wanted to join the company. I called my boss and he said, good, you get to train him. I said, okay. So I spent the weekend, very nice guy and his girlfriend, and I'm in my early 20s back then. And I spent the weekend with him. And finally we went out together and the couple was in the front. I was sitting in the back seat. We were talking about the weekend, what I had trained them to do, the job. And they both looked at each other and they turned around and they said to me, yeah, you know a lot about this subject. You should write a book. And I said, what are you talking about? But it wowed me, but it taught me something that's helped me a lot in writing and publishing and in interviewing. And I realized a lot of people, they have no idea how I heard a maxim later on in life where a person is a story. And that affected me. And knowing that, it's almost like cheating, because it occurred to me maybe one day I'll write a book where I just pick strangers off the street and see what happens, see what their stories are. I bet it would be pretty profound, pretty fantastic what all of us go through. And we're all in the world where there are a lot of pretenses. You know, everybody shows the great travel and all the positives on their Facebook profile. And once in a while, somebody gives a sign that they need some help or something like that. But it's pretty remarkable what you find when you dig deep with any human being. So, and you usually don't know what you know until you're asked to teach it or show somebody. And sometimes as the words are coming out of your mouth, you're like, wow, this is like Christina said, like, this is my story. You know, I'm inspired by my own story, but it's very true. Very true. So very, very cool. You know what? I'm interested. Anybody who wants to jump in, that was a great question, Christina. Like, if you had reservations about, because, you know, I gotta point out, all the authors here, all the authors in the book, we're reading the whole book now, but and it took a couple of years to create this book. There was a long extended period where I think no one really knew, by the way, this is just another testament to your bravery. No one really knew what the other women were talking about in their stories. that was by design, and but it's pretty remarkable. Nonetheless, everybody came forward with something. Every story in this book contributes in some remarkable way. And I will point out, in Lauren's story, I feel a great kinship with Lauren. My wife and I are homeless. We about 6 weeks ago, I'm joking, but about 6 weeks ago, we decided to move and found out we couldn't move to where we wanted to move until April 21st. And I said, well, that's where we want to go, so let's take it. We have a 6.5 week chunk of time. Let's travel. So in the last 6 weeks, we've been to the mountains in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We've visited family and friends. We've been to the Keys. We spent a week in the Keys at a nice hotel, and then we went camping. We're not campers.
Rodney's not outdoorsy at all.
I saw the video of you in the kitchen making. Was it coffee you were making, Rod? What were you making?
That was the campsite bathhouse, and there was an outlet by the sink where you can take your dishes. And we're addicted to espresso, so
it was brilliant.
But that's another thing. It's not only what you can overcome, it's what's possible, you know, and that comes through in so many ways. I picture Belinda on the top of a mountain. So many things in this book. What you can survive, what you can accomplish, and the big secret is it doesn't take $1 million to do it. Not at all. So very cool. All right. Anybody have a question? I will say that part of the purpose right now, as far as the publishing side of things goes, is keeping prices low or free, like with the ebook right now. We're just working on getting up to a certain number of reviews, and then while some of the other marketing is being put in place. So I think this launch team group, I'll probably change the name of it and make it public if I can, and keep it as a place for the franchise to thrive. So feel free to ask questions about the publishing side or books if you like. But otherwise, does anybody have a question for one of the other authors or want to point out something that really affected them? Come on, I know you're not shy. All right, well, listen, I think we could wrap up. We'll close off here. That's been, it's actually been a party, and I appreciate it. Kudos to Belinda for the decor. We'll close out with some.
And getting up at 1:30 in the morning to be here.
Yes.
With party poppers, just let's have one more party, because my neighbors are going to love me, because everybody pulls party poppers at 2 a.m. when I'm around. So congratulations to everybody.
Thank you all. Thanks, everybody. And here's to Jack, our first nominee for Volume 2.
Absolutely.
Woo.
I do want to make sure I save the chat. Anybody know I want to save this chat? And last time I closed the Zoom, save chat. There we go. All right.
Please do connect everybody as well. It would be lovely to connect with everybody, whether you are a reader or whether you're another author as well. I think I've connected with most people, or I've tried to connect with most people, but please do connect and reach out. You know, the power is in our community as well. And I would love to connect and share your stories across what we're doing as well. This is not about our story. This is about sharing others as well. So please reach out.
Awesome. Yes.
Ask for a thread for just authors. Rodney, like if in the group, maybe you could just say, you know, If you're an author, drop your handle here.
Say that again. They're
In the group, if you
Uh-huh.
create a thread or a post that says if you're an author, drop your name here or drop your handle here. That way we can all connect, because I know the group is really large, and so
Yeah.
you know, if we can't
Hey,
find those names, that might be the easiest way.
That's a great idea. I don't think all the authors, or maybe they are in the launch group, in the Facebook group, but and I'm not sure if I can change it to public at this point. I hope so. But regardless, maybe I can do something like that with a room or something like that. So, but that's a good idea. Or if need be, I'll just start a new group where like an authors group where we can all commingle.
That would be awesome.
So, yeah, good ideas.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Have
Bye,
a great
everybody.
or
Have
morning.
a lovely day, night, evening,
Go to bed.
morning.
We're
Can't
global.
go to bed now. Too hyper.
Too pumped. Keep the party going.
I'll go and wake up the street. There's a party
Yeah.
going on. It's a launch party. Just get everybody involved. Get the whole of Sweden up.
Awesome.
Take care, everybody. Thank you for joining us as well. Thank you for joining us from every continent, or almost every continent. Much love to everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes. Much love. Bye for now.